Hello everyone and welcome to another ONIT College Basketball Show. We're taking a look at this week's games here in this Tuesday episode. Before we jump on in, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It's free to do so, and if you enjoy the content, it means that you see more of us in your feed and helps us out, so it's a win-win for us all. And if you stick around to the end of the show, we'll tell you how you and your ONIT cards can potentially get involved in one of our upcoming episodes. So let's begin and dive on in by taking a look at what's in our Tuesday box.
What's in the box?
Our Tuesday ONIT College Basketball box features our locally sourced but nationally relevant headlines for all of our ONIT teams as we take a look at some of our ranked teams going into big make or break weeks here in the middle of February. We'll also look at our two best performers, a man and a woman, in making the grade, and we'll give you our 10 names to watch as we creep ever closer to the end of the regular season. We'll begin by taking a look at who made the grade and our Gem Mint 10 performers this week. Time for making the grade, where we look at our best performers from this weekend's games, and we've got two for you, one on the men's side, one on the women's side, and we'll kick things off on the men's side here with the man from Purdue, Fletcher Loyer, who helped the Boilermakers win 68-64 over Oregon and avoid an upset loss. He didn't shoot the ball a whole bunch in this game, but when he did, he was efficient. 4 of 7 from the floor, including 3 of 4 from 3, while going 7 of 8 from the free throw line. All of that added up to 18 points for him, along with 4 rebounds and 2 assists. He also hit some very clutch free throws down the stretch, and his three-pointer, with only 51 seconds left in the game, gave Purdue a lead that they would not relinquish for the rest of the game. So for the clutch performance, the great shooting, and the key basket and free throws down the stretch, Fletcher Loyer is our Gem Mint 10 performer this week on the men's side. Flipping over to the women's side, our Gem Mint 10 performer this week is Elsa Lemela from the Ohio State Buckeyes. Lemela helped out in the 80-64 win over Oregon with a new career high, 23 points, and doing it all on 10 of 12 shooting. Hyper efficient from the floor, she also added in 9 rebounds and blocked 2 shots in the win over the Ducks on the road, and is a huge part in why Ohio State was able to win that game and keep themselves inside the top 10 in this week's AP poll. Lemela, for the career high in points and the great performance with both rebounding and defense, earns herself a Gem Mint 10 for us here at ONIT this week. Let me know down in the comments below if you agree or disagree with who we gave our Gem Mint 10s to this week, and tell us if you have any other ideas of who should have gotten the awards this week. But for now, we'll turn the page and check out what our men's teams are doing over the course of this week. All right, tons of great men's games this week. Let's get into it. And we'll start off with our game of the week between two ONIT teams, a top 15 matchup here in the Big Ten between number 7 Nebraska and number 13 Purdue as the Boilermakers head to Lincoln. Should be a really fun game. You got Price Sanford, Sam Hoiberg up against Braden Smith, Fletcher Loyer. Really looking forward to this game. Ton of talent on both sides. It's happening tonight, so make sure you're tuned in for that game this evening. It's the game of the week in the Big Ten. It's our ONIT game of the week, so definitely one that you should be looking out for. Should be a really fun matchup between these two teams. Then we have number 2 Michigan, 22-1. Just beat Ohio State 82-61. They're on the road at Northwestern in their next contest as they continue to stay in place at number 2. But with Arizona losing last night, maybe this is the week that Michigan gets to number 1 in the polls. We will see. Then UConn tumbling down the rankings. They're now down to number 6 after losing at number 22 St. John's. I said that game was not going to be easy. 81-72, the final. UConn loses, and now they will go to Butler and try and get back on track in the Big East. Then Gonzaga, another team that fell down the rankings. They're down to number 12 after losing to Portland. They did turn it around and beat Oregon State by 20 points. but not enough to keep them inside the top 10. So they'll play Washington State tonight, another rather easy matchup there in the WCC for them. But Gonzaga, with that loss to Portland, has got to earn back some goodwill, faith with the committee by probably winning out the rest of the season if they want to get back inside the top 10 and potentially be a number 1 seed when it comes down to the tournament. Then we have Ohio State 15-8, lost at home against number 2 Michigan 82-61 as the Buckeyes were swept on the season by the Wolverines, unable to win either of those rivalry games. They will take on USC, trying to get their Big Ten schedule back on track. They're still 15-8, at-large hopes potentially alive here, but a tough Big Ten schedule down the stretch may make it difficult for the Buckeyes. As we look at some timeless-only teams, for our timeless-only teams, these are schools that are only available to get men's and women's basketball cards through a timeless subscription on the website at onitathlete.com. So if you're interested in getting cards for any of these teams, check it out there, onitathlete.com, and then head to the timeless page. We'll start off with number 21, Arkansas, 17-6. They stay in place, beat Mississippi State 88-68. Then they will be on the road at LSU. Kind of status quo right now for the Pigs, but the Razorbacks are looking to win the SEC in the regular season here. And to do so, probably going to have to win out with the way that Florida and Texas A&M and some of these other SEC teams are playing and how the schedules look at the moment. Speaking of SEC teams, we have Auburn at 14-9. I think their bubble hopes have probably been bursted as of late. They've lost 2 in a row now. Last time out, 96-92, fell at home against Alabama. They're down to 14-9 on the season. They do have number 19 Vanderbilt coming up. That game is this evening. They have to win this game, in my opinion, to have a bubble chance or an at-large chance. If they lose to Vanderbilt tonight, 3 losses in a row at 14-10, I don't think it looks good for the Tigers. Just been a seesaw season for them, and so I think the committee will not look favorably upon them as it comes to selection time if they don't have some type of other signature win here, and a win over Vanderbilt could be exactly that. So we'll see how that one plays out. Then Penn State lost again, 77-75 against USC. They're now 10-14 on the season. They're on the road at Washington, going all the way across the country. Will not be an easy game for the Nittany Lions. They'll have to adapt to the time change. We'll see if they're able to do that on the road against Washington on the 11th. And then Texas, winning against Ole Miss, 15-9. They're a really interesting team too, kind of in the same vein as Auburn. They lost to Auburn. Are they on the bubble? Are they off the bubble? Are they a last 4 in? Are they a first 4 out? Lots of questions about Texas. They get Missouri on the road. They have a break here until Valentine's Day, so they don't play until the 14th. We'll see what happens for Texas. They're another team that I think probably needs to win out over the rest of the SEC season to really cement their place in the tournament. Otherwise, they will be holding their breaths when it comes to Selection Sunday. Texas A&M, again, another timeless-only team here, 17-6, but a 2-game losing skid, including this most recent loss, 86-67 against Florida. I said this was a must-have game for Texas A&M if they wanted to win the SEC in the regular season. Clearly, Florida showed that they're a much better team than A&M, and now with the losses to Alabama and Florida, who is ranked, Alabama, who's receiving votes, A&M has kind of shown that maybe they are not one of the top dogs in the SEC at the moment, but they're still very much in the hunt. If they can win out, they can challenge Arkansas, Florida, and some of these other SEC teams for a regular season championship. So a lot going on in the SEC. They get Missouri on the 11th. So Texas A&M will play Missouri here tomorrow, and then Texas will have them this weekend. Then we have UCLA. This is not a timeless-only school, but they are a mixed school. So if you buy a UCLA pack, box, or bundle, you will be getting UCLA winter sports, which could be men's basketball, women's basketball, gymnastics. So check those out, again, on athlete.com. UCLA is 17-7, just beat Washington 77-73. They're on the road at number 2 Michigan on Saturday for Valentine's Day. That'll be a super interesting game, a matchup between 2 ONIT schools, a must-have game for UCLA to boost their tournament resume. So that is coming up this weekend, definitely a game to look forward to. We'll preview it more in Friday's show since Michigan is playing Northwestern during the week. But definitely something to look forward to, as UCLA will be well rested going into that game. And lastly, our final timeless only school, that is West Virginia. They're 15-8. Lost a close one against Texas Tech, 70-63. That's number 13th ranked team in the country at the time of the game. And West Virginia kept it close. They're doing pretty well in the Big 12, all things considered, as it is a really good basketball conference with the likes of Texas Tech, Arizona, Kansas. And West Virginia will get UCF on the road on Saturday. So that's the next time that we will see the Mountaineers in action. And that is all of our men's teams this week. So a couple teams who have byes until Saturday, a lot of good midweek games, and definitely looking forward to tonight's contest between Purdue and Nebraska. So keep your eyes on that one for our ONIT game of the week. And let's look at the women's games, because we've got more fantastic matchups coming up. A look at our women's teams this week. We don't have any ONIT versus ONIT matchups during the week, but we do have a ton of stellar games to talk about. Let's begin by looking at the number one team in the country. The undefeated UConn Huskies continue to make waves at the top of the NCAA. They beat Butler 80-48. Just nobody can compete with this team right now. And the next team that is going to try to compete with UConn is Creighton. That game is happening on the 11th. So tomorrow, the Blue Jays will come to town against UConn, and we'll see if UConn rolls. The Big East has been their stomping ground. This is a Big East Conference game, and the Huskies look ready to dominate yet again, so we'll see if that does happen. While UCLA at number 2, 23-1 on the season, squeaked out a win against Michigan, 69-66. Great game that was. I hope you got a chance to watch it. That was one of our ONIT games of the week on the women's side last weekend, and it did not disappoint. Great play from everyone in that game. Olivia Olson, Lauren Betts, Kiki Rice, Gabriela Jaquez. I mean, it was such an amazing game. And now UCLA will be on the road at number 13 Michigan State tomorrow. So an opportunity for UCLA to get back-to-back wins over ranked teams in the state of Michigan would be huge for UCLA, especially as they are still the only undefeated team in the Big Ten Conference. So another game to watch right there. Then we have South Carolina in a must-see contest. 24-2, just rolled number 19 Tennessee, 93-50. This is a team that people really struggle to compete against, as you can tell by some of these scores and just the 2 losses on the season for South Carolina. They have the week off, and they're going to need the rest, because on Saturday they are going to number 6 LSU. Huge game for the Gamecocks, huge game for the SEC, as there are so many teams pushing at the top of that conference to try to win it. LSU, Texas, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, bunch of teams in the mix to win the SEC this year on the women's side, and this game could be a deciding factor between South Carolina and LSU. So turn this game on for sure on Saturday. Then we have number 7 Michigan coming off that loss against UCLA. It may have doomed the Wolverines in a sense of that they won't win the Big Ten regular season title, but they'll keep on chipping at Northwestern on February 12th. That is their next game. Certainly an easier opponent than playing the number 2 ranked UCLA Bruins. So the Wolverines will try to get back on track in that game against Northwestern next time out. And then we have number 8, Ohio State. Just won on the road, 80-64 at Oregon. Nice little win for Ohio State, up to number 8 in the country as they continue to climb the polls. They have themselves a bit of a challenge. Number 20, Maryland, will be coming to Columbus. Another great game. Good games, of course, always on the women's side. We just have so many ranked matchups all the time, and this is a good one out of the Big Ten. Maryland has been surging as of late. Ohio State has looked really good recently. They're 22-3, so this matchup on their home court against the 20th ranked Terrapins should be one that Ohio State will be favored in, getting the home court advantage, being the higher ranked team. But that's why they play the game, right? So we'll see how Ohio State comes out and attacks Maryland, and what kind of strategies they have to slow down what has been a very hot Maryland offense as of late. Then for number 22, Tennessee, another tumble in the rankings after losing to South Carolina. They will get Missouri at home, so an opportunity to get back to Knoxville, try to recover here, and try to figure out what direction they need to go, as Tennessee is just still reeling from that time that they had to take off in the middle of the season due to that crazy winter storm that affected basically the entirety of the state. So we'll see if the Lady Vols can get things back together and right the ship back to where they were a couple of weeks ago. And their next chance to do so will be against Missouri. Then taking a look at Nebraska, talked about how this was one of their toughest stretches of schedule. They're now 16-8, and the losing streak continues. They just lost to Maryland 78-60. In all these games against ranked teams, Nebraska has not been the best team on the court, and that has certainly shown. It's making it very hard for them to get back inside the top 25. And at this point, after losing to a majority of the Big Ten's ranked teams at the moment, I don't think it's looking very clear for Nebraska on a pathway to get back in to the top 25 as the season is coming towards its end. So for Nebraska, they go on the road at Minnesota. If they could win out, they might be able to sneak back in to the polls here towards the end of the year going into the conference tournament, but they're definitely going to have to win out, and that will start on the road at Minnesota on the 12th. And then we look at USC, another team for us out of the Big Ten, 15-9, won at Illinois 70-62 on the 8th, and now they get Indiana on the 12th. USC is a team that I think everybody who follows women's college basketball has on bubble watch. Are they in? Are they out? A lot of different bracketologists have USC all over the place. What they do down the stretch, and specifically in the Big Ten Conference Tournament, is going to make a big difference on whether or not USC is in or out of the NCAA tournament at the end of the year. So stacking wins in the Big Ten here as they go into their final 5-6 games to close out the season is going to be super important for the women of Troy. So we'll see what they do as we move on and look at our timeless only schools here. Again, onitathlete.com, and look for a timeless subscription if you want to get cards from these teams. Looking at number 4, Texas won against number 16 ranked Kentucky last night, 64-53. Texas is now 23-2 on the year. Big win for them. And another difficult game coming up. Texas has had quite the stretch recently. LSU, Kentucky, and now they're at number 5, Vanderbilt. I talked about games that are going to potentially shake up the SEC with South Carolina and LSU. Well, Texas Vanderbilt is another one that is really going to determine who wins that conference. We'll see who comes out on top. That game's on the 12th. Looking forward to it. Should be a great matchup there between two of the best teams in the country. We got a top 5 matchup coming our way there from Nashville with Texas. And then looking at Arkansas, also in the SEC, also a timeless only school, 11-14, just lost at Florida, 75-69. They stay on the road, go to number 14 Ole Miss. Another tough place to play, another difficult game for Arkansas. See if they're able to capture an SEC win that has eluded them for such a long time here at the moment. And then for Auburn, 13-12, took on number 5 LSU. Tough game, 77-44 loss there for Auburn. They have this week off, but will be back this weekend on the 15th. They'll be at Texas A&M in an ONIT versus ONIT matchup. So we'll preview that one a little bit more on Friday, but definitely something to look out for on the horizon. And then we have ourselves Penn State. 8-16 lost in a close one against number 12 Michigan State. 81-70 was that loss for them. They will be taking on Maryland on the road on the 12th. So before Ohio State gets Maryland this weekend, Penn State will play them first here in 2 days. Should be, again, an interesting game. Penn State has definitely played better as of late compared to the start of conference play. They got their first win. They hung close with Michigan State. Could they potentially pull the upset against number 20 Maryland? That's the question. It'll take a lot for Penn State on the road, but it's definitely a possibility and would help out Ohio State in a pretty big way, you would think, going into their game. So we'll see if Penn State can help out Ohio State. And lastly, we have Texas A&M, our final timeless only school, and the benefactors of the biggest upset of the week. They beat number 21 Alabama 72-69. Huge upset for the Aggies. Great game for them. We're really clicking on all cylinders, and we're able to hold on by blocking a three-pointer at the end to come away with the win over the ranked Alabama team. Got to 9-10 on the season, and now they'll go on the road to number 18 Kentucky. So another difficult matchup for them, but a lot of confidence instilled in them with that win over Alabama, they can come back into this game against Kentucky and potentially take down the Wildcats and string together back-to-back ranked wins. That would be huge for Texas A&M, and that is all the games we have this week for our women's teams. Tons of great stuff on both the men's and women's side, so let's look and see who's going to be important over the course of this week for all of our teams. And here are our players to watch for another week in February. The regular season is ticking down and every game matters at this point. So these are the names that I think are going to have a big impact this week. Starting off with Darius Acuff Jr. for Arkansas. As Arkansas continues to try to move up the seed line going into the NCAA tournament, they have a chance to win the SEC as well, be it in the regular season or in the tournament. So Darius Acuff Jr. is definitely a guy who's going to have to play at his best over the final month of the season if Arkansas does want to walk out of what is a difficult SEC conference. Then you have Azzi Fudd as UConn extends their winning streak against Big East foes and just in general as they are still undefeated. She has been just as consistent as they come alongside Sarah Strong. So keep your eye on really all of the UConn women's team because they are so much fun to watch. Then we're going deep in the bag here for Nebraska. How about Burke Buchentunsel? He is getting a lot of minutes off the bench for this Nebraska team and playing a really pivotal role in those. He does a little bit of scoring, a lot of rebounding, and plays some great defense as Nebraska continues to go through this really difficult stretch of schedule after they coasted their way almost to the 20-0 record. He's a guy that off the bench is getting some crucial minutes and I think has a big impact on whether or not Nebraska can keep this up and try to stay as high as they are in the AP poll. Then we're going into our bag again here for UCLA, past all of the usual suspects and talking about Gianna Neepkins. She's been playing really well as of late. I think she's one of UCLA's most important players once you get past kind of the star power that team has. She's really a glue person for that team, and I like her style of play a lot. So keep your eyes on her if you've maybe overlooked her these past couple of weeks or months. Then you have Braden Huff for Gonzaga. He needs no introduction. He's been steady as a rock as well alongside Graham Ike. If Ike isn't able to step up for whatever reason, Huff has been able to step his game up, and when they are in conjunction together with Ike and Huff, it's a thing of beauty for the Zags, so definitely keep your eye on him. Then Olivia Olson for Michigan nearly powered them to the win against UCLA. She's the leading scorer for that team and just does so much for Michigan in general. Really fun to watch play, so keep your eye on her. Then for Purdue, Trey Kaufman-Renn, another one where we're looking at a guy who provides a lot off the bench, rebounding, defense, just spot-up shooting capabilities when his number is called. So Trey Kaufman-Renn is a guy who maybe doesn't get all the credit for Purdue, but definitely does that gritty work that you should look out for. Then Jelani Cambridge just crossed 1,000 points in her collegiate career. Big time scorer, of course, for Ohio State. You know the name by now for sure if you hadn't already. So keep an eye on Jelani Cambridge as she continues to pour in the points. Then we have Jakari Lane for Texas A&M. As Texas A&M has been in their slide recently, he's the distributor, the main distributor for the team, leads the team in assists. He's been helping set up his team with a lot of good shots. They've been scoring a lot of points recently. It's just been on the defensive end. The Texas A&M has kind of slacked in these two losses. So Jakari Lane is one to watch as A&M tries to get back in the winning column. Watching him pass the rock is always a thing of beauty. And then lastly, we have Kara Dunn for USC. They are precipitously on the bubble right now, are the Trojans. They have to string together a lot of wins if they're going to make the tournament. So for USC, I think Kara Dunn, who's been their leading scorer this year, she is the one who's going to have to step up to lead the Trojans into the NCAA tournament, at least if they want to get an at-large bid. Or maybe they can make a crazy run in the Big Ten tournament. Who knows? It's coming soon. All of these conference tournaments are less than a month away at this point. How crazy is that? Basketball season came and gone in a flash, but we still have plenty of time left in the season, but not today, because that's all the time we have in this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please do hit that subscribe button. It does help us out at no cost to you. It's completely free to do so if you have a YouTube account. So help us help you by hitting that subscribe button. And if you're opening some ONIT packs, maybe you're pulling some of these men's or women's basketball players through your timeless subscriptions, or in some packs or platinum boxes that you bought yourself. We'd love to see the cards, so share them with us on onitathlete.com/highlights. The link down below. You can post them there. We'll share them here on the channel and talk about your amazing pulls and get the community growing here as we've surpassed 200 subscribers on this channel. So thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Enjoy your week, and we'll see you back here on Friday for more college basketball coverage.